Aangenaam kennis, Dumelang, how's it? Jacob Mushokwa here, driving a double cab bakkie. What is more interesting in South Africa? Nothing, because bakkies are everything for us. This one is a new brand, LDV T60 Lux. This is a top of the range, it's automatic, and it's built by the SAIC Corporation. It's a Shanghai Chinese motoring corporation that's been around since the 1940s actually. So here it is. First time driving a whole new brand. Let's get into it.
Don't stall, install. From quick search to in-depth research, do it all on our updated app.
Dream, search, drive. Cars.co.za.
I don't want to get into too much detail about how obsessed we are South Africans with bakkies. So when I saw that there's an opportunity for me to drive yet another new bakkie, I jumped at this opportunity. Simply because I wanted to know why it took so long for the Chinese manufacturers to actually come out with this car. I did a bit of research and I learned that this car was actually available in Australia for many, many years. So I think it was only fitting for them to bring another bakkie to South Africa. But now, where does this bakkie fit in, you might be wondering? The direct competitors, definitely an Isuzu D-Max, Mitsubishi Triton, and maybe even the GWM P series. And, hey, look at this. I found a dirt road. Surely this is the best way to test out a bakkie. I will go to 4x4 mode, and there we go. Look, it's a decent gravel road, surprisingly very comfortable. I'm sure I could pick up a lot more speed, but I'm just doing some light off-roading so we could feel the car. How versatile is it when you're driving on tar versus driving on the gravel? Oh, but there's that bakkie body roll, if you know what I'm talking about. The engine of this car is a 2-liter 4-cylinder twin-turbo diesel, which reminds me of the Isuzu KB from yesteryear, from the mid-90s, early 2000s. Remember those old workhorses? That diesel sound is definitely a stark reminder of the old Isuzu KBs. Here's a few other things that you need to know about this car. This, of course, is the top of the range. It's the Lux version. It's priced at 790,000 Rand. The cars need to be competitive in terms of pricing. But what's going to convince any driver to look at a car like this instead of a Mitsubishi Triton? You're worried about these Chinese manufacturers. You don't know if the cars have longevity or what the value would be like in the next few years. A Mitsubishi Triton is tried and tested. A GWM P series, I could also say, is tried and tested. Okay, no more gravel road. We're gonna go back to two-wheel drive, and I think I'm gonna try and do a smoother presentation on camera. So, as I was saying, it's a bit of a hard sell for this car because of where it's priced. If it was priced a little cheaper, maybe starting at around 500K, I think it would make a lot of sense to some people. But my thinking goes as far as this. Because it is a bakkie, sometimes you're looking for something pretty simple. Sometimes you're looking for something that you want to use to load cement or put your wheelbarrow in there, or whatever you need to do. You work on a construction site and you need a proper workhorse. This car will appeal to many. For the price that you're paying for this car, you're going to get a 5-year, 200,000 kilometer warranty and a 5-year, 100,000 kilometer service plan. So comparing like for like, Mitsubishi Triton, Nissan Navara and Isuzu D-Max, they're all priced within that region of 770,000 Rand, 760, 740,000 Rand. And slap bang comes the new kid on the block. The new kid on the block wants to play on the same playing field as the brands I've just mentioned. I think the new kid on the block is selling themselves short, because coming in cheaper means you would have had a bigger appeal. Unfortunately, some South Africans are still very strict when it comes to their bakkies. The Halo bakkie has always been the Hilux. And then the likes of the Isuzus have slid in, and even VW with the Amarok and Ford have become firm favorites. But it's for those people who can afford a bakkie that costs R1 million or 1.2 million Rand. This one, where it's priced, is sadly a little overpriced. Let me take you through the interior of the LDV T60. So, steering wheel is straightforward. Almost reminds me of my mom's 2012 Corolla. Actually looks a lot like a Toyota Corolla. It's got paddle shifts, so you can change gears there on the steering wheel. Usual buttons to do volume control, and of course cruise control on the left-hand side. Nice theme to it as well. Black, bit of a vinyl black with a mix of silver. Runs across the doors, the steering wheel, and of course on the dashboard, and even the main console here where the gear shifter is. Now, talking about the gear shifter, I do find it a little awkward, just the way it looks. And even sometimes it feels like the gear shifter is not actually solid. I mean, you have to quickly glance to see when you are in neutral, reverse, drive. I knocked it into manual mode the other day and it was really tough to get it out of manual mode. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Touch sensitive buttons for the aircon, etc., and the demist. It's got 2 USB ports. No wireless charging, but there is a nice little slot to put my phone on, which is nice. Should have been a wireless charger. Coming up to the infotainment system, pretty easy to use. It's got Apple CarPlay. I switch between radio stations and answering my phone, quite simple. It's got a 360-degree view camera as well, which is nice for when you're indicating and reversing. The only odd thing is when you are reversing, it goes straight to the 360-degree view camera and you can't exactly like take the volume down, or you basically can't control the infotainment system if you're indicating or reversing the car, which is a bit of a problem for me. Plasticky at the top, nice little leathery touchpad here. In fact, you can move and remove it. And it's of course got 2 cup holders, some really nice storage in here. In fact, there's a little slot here to put your house key. I got my guest house key there. You've also got a very easy shifter to go from low range, high range, 4x4 mode, or leave it in auto, or just make it 2-wheel drive. And then of course, when you look at the dials here, or the speedometer, pretty simple, pretty straightforward, nothing digital. I like that it's a no frills kind of bakkie. I like it that it's as simple as that. It's got electric seats for both driver and passenger, which is really great. I don't really like the padding of the seats. It feels like it's a little too stiff, and you do sit quite high in the car. Initially, I didn't like that when I jumped into the car, but when you drive a bakkie, it's actually quite cool. I like the red stitching and the leather finish as well. I think the likes of the GWM P series is a lot more, I don't know, a lot more modern, a lot more slicker. This is actually quite base with the feel of it. If I think of the likes of an Amarok or even a Ranger, that is top tier in terms of finishing and quality on the inside. This one, pretty basic, but it gets me questioning, how advanced do you want your bakkie to look on the inside? For me, if you're going to be riding this car on a farm road daily, this is pretty practical. It's pretty easy, it's pretty straightforward. And now let's have a look at the back seat. Seating position for Jacob, I think is solid. I got a bit of legroom here. I can do a lean. You know, I can change positions. It's comfortable. There's a little pocket here to put whatever you need to put in there. I have an armrest with 2 cup holders, a real seat belt for the middle seat. But I have to be honest, I just sat there now. An adult will struggle in the middle here. And then if you look here, there's aircon vents, 2 of them. There's no USB ports. but there is a power outlet. And the red stitching obviously continues here at the back. Enough headroom as well. Yeah, pretty solid. And of course, it's time for the bakkie test. So, it's got a really cool roller shutter here on top, which is really nice if you need it. The crazy part is this. We've got an hydraulic opening here, which is fantastic. Now, this is the part that really gets me on this bakkie. In fact, it grates me. I can't lock this. I can't lock this. It's locked, right? The entire car is locked. But this doesn't lock. And if you need to lock this, this is what you got to use. These hooks, you hook them in here and you lock your bakkie lid. That's not the way it's supposed to be. It really isn't. Now, talking about this roller shutter, it's great. It looks amazing. You can lock it and close it. That's fine. For me though, I think all these frills take away from a bakkie being a bakkie. I would actually prefer just a standard tonneau cover because I want to use the bakkie for what a bakkie is for, right? Because of this roller shutter door, it takes away a bit of space from loading in the back of the bakkie. So for me, unfortunately, roller shutter door, too fancy for this car. I would rather have a good old tonneau cover and leave it the way it is.
By using the Cars.co.za compare tool, which we've linked below, you can see how this new LDV T60 stacks up against the competition. In terms of size, the T60's length is within a few centimeters of the Hilux and Ranger. Critically, its tow rating of 3 tons is less than the industry norm of 3.5 tons. It also sits a bit lower than its rivals in terms of ground clearance at 215 millimeters, so be mindful if you're a serious off-roader. But a bakkie is all about the load bin, and with a length of 1,485 millimeters, the LDV T60 is a touch smaller than its rivals. Thankfully, it's big enough for a Euro-spec pallet if you're running a business.
You know what? The bakkie's great, but this 160 kilowatts of the car, is it really good? And when I put the power down on this car, I'm going up a hill now. I feel like I needed to do more. 160 kilowatts, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it gives me that 160 kilowatts as quick as I need it. And it brings me to this part of the car. This ZF gearbox is great to a certain extent. It doesn't feel like the ZF gearbox and the drivetrain and the engine are all talking to each other in a fluid language. Sometimes it feels like the ZF is like, no, we're ZF, we're independent. And we did the independent gearbox right. Yes, it's right. But how it talks to the car is a bit jolted, is a bit missed at times. It's like, now and again, my change down. Oh, you changed down. Oh, you need more power. I don't like that. I really don't like that. So again, it's a missed opportunity for SAIC or SAIC with making sure that the car is well calibrated. You know, making sure that everything works before producing a car for a South African market.
So, in summary, the bakkie market in South Africa is only going to grow. And this LDV T60 is one of the latest arrivals. There's a lot to like here, and the basics have been ticked easily. However, there's one big issue. Usually the Chinese strategy is to offer all the features at an exceptionally affordable price. But LDV has positioned its T60 on the more premium side, which in my opinion exposes it to the more established brands. Once you're at this price, you should not have to be managing expectations, and if you're expecting class leading, you will be a bit disappointed. Still, this is only the start of a new brand, and I can't wait to see what else LDV cooks up.
Dream, search, drive. Cars.co.za.
Are you busy trying to decide between 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars, 5 cars, 6 cars, and getting absolutely lost in all of the specs and all of the different pricing? Well, we have an excellent compare tool on our main website and in our app for you to use. It's very detailed, it's very slick and quick and efficient, and I highly recommend it. I use it all the time when I'm doing research for our car shoots. So check it out. We'll put the link in the description below and tell us what you think. Tell us if it helped you out.